Hard Knocks, KK the Destroyer here, coming to you live from the ESPN8 studio, the Ocho. And we got a full house tonight. We got 4 people on the podcast. Big thanks to Jabbar coming in late, giving us his vast amounts of wisdom.
What's up, guys?
And with me, as always, is Greg.
Howdy, fellas.
I don't know about much wisdom coming from his end of the thing, but, you know, it is what it is. And then we got...
who Christian McCaffrey plays for, remember?
That's right. And then we got Slick coming in, joining us on the podcast as well. Thanks for joining, Slick.
No problem. How's it going, guys?
Awesome. I'm super stoked to get this season started. I don't think anybody can tell because I've been jonesing to get started, not waiting for that first patch. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the ass, but I don't think so. So let's see here. One thing I would like to kick off real quick in case anybody hasn't noticed, but we did do the sealed bid free agents. So we got Earl Thomas, Aaron Rodgers, and Carson Wentz. So if you're interested in those guys, DM me your 1-year bid on that player. You got to have the cap for him available at the time. And
Sid wants to know if he can jump in. Sorry for cutting you off.
There's 4 of us, so no.
All right, now.
We can get him on next week, though. And then, let's see. You can bid on multiple of the players, but you got to have the amounts. If say you want both to offer an offer on Aaron Rodgers and Carson Wentz, if you want to do that to try to get one, and you have $55 million, if you're going to do it, you can't put $30 million on each, and then not have enough to sign them both. Because what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to end up in a scenario where, somebody has the largest bid available but can't sign them both. So, because we don't know what everybody's cap situation is like, and just because you can offer that and pay one guy that doesn't mean you should be able to offer it to both. It's just going to be the easiest way to make this work. So, you have to have the amounts available to sign them both. And if it means if you win them both, well, guess what? You have 2 quarterbacks and they're yours on your squad. And I guess I don't see that really happening, but real quick, let's poll you 3 guys. If somebody signs both those quarterbacks, should they have to keep them both for the duration of the season, or should they be able to trade them? One of them. Greg?
I'd say you have to keep them.
Yeah.
Slick?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jabbar?
Ooh. I agree, but I understand why you would do the opposite and want to trade too. But I agree. You should keep them.
I agree as well. I think I could definitely see why you would want to do it, but I think just for the way that we kind of want this to happen, if you sign them both, you got to keep them both, and that's your problem for offering that much money to 2 quarterbacks. So hopefully we don't encounter that, but go ahead and get those sealed bids into me as soon as possible. And I guess what we'll probably try to do is give it until tomorrow, and then I will go ahead and announce who won each of those players, and then we'll just get them onto your roster, and I'll adjust the cap and everything. So that was the one other big thing. I want to say thanks real quick to the entire league for getting in and not signing free agents, getting through the draft process. I know it was cumbersome and was kind of slow and a pain in the ass. But like I said from the outset, this is my least favorite part of the new Madden season, is getting a new league going and just trying to deal with all that stuff. There's so much stuff to do, and it's just a huge pain in my ass. So thank you for not being a dick and signing people. And also not editing your players, like changing their positions and things like that. Because that's another thing. I mean, it's just, we're going to be looking at transaction logs every week and making sure people aren't making changes to their players that they shouldn't be making, because once again, if you re-roll your superstar or X Factor, you're going to lose their dev. So just little things, I guess, but I probably shouldn't harp on it too much. So the thing that I thought we would do to kick this off is kind of look at 2 divisions and their common opponents. So what I would like to do is hand it off to Slick I think he's the most prepared amongst us. So, Slick, why don't you go ahead and take the lead and tell us what divisions you're going to be looking at and what do you see coming out of these divisions?
Well, let's see. Let me see. The first division I was going to be doing was the NFC East, um, and
Oof. That's our division, Greg.
that's
a
your
division.
guys' division.
I'm gonna love to hear this.
I
We
really am.
got Greg,
Yeah. This is gonna
DBK,
be an intense radio show.
KK, and Giants.
And Sib.
Sibby,
No, he's gonna finish last.
he doesn't deserve a name.
And it's
Oh,
gonna
don't
be an
forget
interesting.
timestamps real quick. How long we've been podcasting?
Oh yeah,
We are at 5 minutes ago as of right now.
5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes, and we start with Slick. Okay.
All right. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go over 2 games throughout their schedule.
Mhm.
They're going to be key matchups. Some of them might roll over into each other, but that's okay. So for the Cowboys, I have week 3 and week 6. So in week 3, Greg plays Jabbar. So that should be an interesting matchup.
Ooh.
Jabbar likes to pass. Greg likes to play a lot of good defense, so it's going to be a good game to watch. And then you have week 6 against JP, 2 defensive guys, 2 guys that like to run the ball. So I thought that was going to be another good matchup to see. Next is TBK. For him, I have week 11. And this owner didn't have the game yet, but he's going to be getting it soon. I have him against Rocky.
Ooh.
Those two like to talk a lot of trash, so I thought that'd be a good game to keep an eye on later on in the season.
Yeah, for
Also,
sure.
week 13 against Packers, which is IP man. I think they're right along as far as skill level is concerned. They like to run the ball, and their defense is pretty solid. So I thought that'd be a good matchup to see. Next we have KK, and I have week 2 against JP. And this is gonna be JP's revenge game against him. We've
Right.
seen over the last couple of months I guess you can call it trash talking between the two of them.
Right.
So I thought that was gonna be a major matchup. And then week 11 against Jern.
Yikes.
And I think that's gonna be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah, if you like
Okay.
blowouts.
If you like new matter, new game.
Yeah.
That's for sure. New Madden, new game.
So that was KK's, and then
Mhm.
Sid, week 6 against KK. KK's been calling him out over the last 2 months. And Sid says he joined this division specifically so he can play KK. So trying to really see if he's gonna back up what he was saying.
Right.
And then week 2, he's playing the Bears, which is I know you see it. He's been a really good user.
For sure.
Yes.
So I think that would be a good matchup to see just the way they both play.
Mhm.
So that's the NFC East. Now I have Greg winning it. I don't have a record or anything. I haven't seen his schedule yet.
Right.
I was just looking for matchups. So I have Greg winning it. However, I do have KK coming in second, and then
Woohoo!
TBK in third.
Oh,
But
man.
they can kind of flip. I'm really torn between the two of them,
Mhm.
just because both defensive guys. But I know the way they play. So I mean, those two can be a flip. So that's
What's
the way
interesting about both of their schedules is that they both play the AFC North. Actually, all 3 play the AFC North, and all 3 play Rocky, and all 3 play Jern.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So
Well, that's gonna
let
be
me butt in 1 second here. With it being the first year of that extra playoff spot, I think this division could be the division that puts three teams in. I think TBK, KK, and myself
Yeah.
all make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
have to
easily.
once again see like all the NFC and guess, but yeah, I keep forgetting about the extra playoff spot.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. I forgot about that.
Right.
And then we got the next thing is the NFC West. So we have the Cards, the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
Gotcha.
So JP, week 7 against Jabbar, and we can pretty much tell. Well, I don't know, but I think these are the two front runners to win the division.
Ooh.
JP winning it though. I'm backing up what Penn has been talking about the past 3 months and how good of a user JP is, and I've played him a lot.
I don't disagree with that.
And then his week 9 game coincidentally is against me, and that's a matchup I'm looking forward to. Not only because I actually play him, but all of our games has always been really close, and it always comes down to the last play of the game. So I'm really excited about that matchup. Now, next is we have 49ers, who's Frank. He was the Chiefs the last league we did.
Right.
His matchup with Sib in week 6 is going to be an interesting one.
Week 3?
No, that's week 6.
Week 6 is Explosive Skirts. I don't know who that is.
That's
guy? No, my bad. No, not Sib. I mean Rams. Yeah, them two.
Okay.
Just to see where
the Rams
they're at. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Where they're gonna be at. I haven't played the Rams user in a while, so I don't know.
So let me. Who is the Rams user?
Chunky.
Oh,
I'm not gonna say his PSN name.
That's right,
it's
Chunky.
The weirdest name I've ever heard.
Yeah. His name is so rated R. So we'll move on from that. I played Chunk last year before we had the reboot. He's a solid player, so I definitely am not sleeping on him in my division.
Yeah.
The guy is good. I mean, I don't know how he's going to sit with that Rams team, but he's definitely a solid player.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Week 6 matchup will tell a lot where they're at. They're both at, because it'll be in week 6. They'll be acclimated to the game by then, so it'll be a good eye opener to see where they're at going forward. And then 49ers week 13 matchup against the Bills.
Well, hold on. You were on the Rams, weren't you?
No, 49ers.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I just got the weeks mixed
I see.
up.
Okay, so you're at the 49ers, and now what week now?
Week 13 against the
Week
Bills.
13.
With
Okay.
Willie Nelson. They were
yeah.
division rivals last Madden. So it'll be an interesting matchup to see who's actually going to get the dub this time. Willie Nelson ran away with that division in Madden 20. See if Madden 21 bodes well for the 49ers user.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Then my next team is the Rams. Seeing him play Sib in week 4 be an interesting one, just because I think they're right along the same skill level. Same type of offensive game, and they're both good defensive players. From what I remember with Chunky is he's good on defense. Offense, he likes to sling it around just like Sid does. Sid might run it a little more with the Giants, so it'll be an interesting game to see. And then week 11, he plays the Bucks, and both guys like to throw it around. I don't see a lot of defense in that game, if at all. So that will be interesting. Last one is Jabbar, and I have him playing Johnny week 7. It's going to be a good. I think it's going to be a really good game to see where they're at, especially playing top heavy user. So it'll be a good matchup to see. Like I said with when I talked about JP's game, his defense versus Jabbar's crazy passing attack that he likes to do. So that'd be a really good game. And then week 12 he plays TBK. And this is, I like to call that week the OG game because these two guys have been in this league for a long time. So it'd be good to see some of the OG guys play each other and see who ends up winning that game.
Right on.
When it's all said and done, I have JP winning the division. Just because I know what kind of user he is.
Jabbar, how do you feel about that?
I'm a little pissed off, but I'm good. I respect it. No, hey, look, Johnny's a good user, and we've had plenty of battles. I couldn't even tell you our record with each other, but you're right. His defensive style, Johnny's so consistent game to game where I'm not. I just did it in the last season or in the reboot where I'd have 5 straight games where I'd win, and then I'd just fall off against guys that I should have beat. And Johnny's just so consistent each week. So, yeah, I'm just not going to talk to Slick for the rest of the podcast. That'll be good.
And the thing is,
but I respect it, though. I do.
And with the new wild card spots, the guy that gets second place in the division, whether it's you or him, may still be a wild card. So there's that as well.
Slick, Frank B said he cut that shit off as soon as you said that he's finishing last. He's like, done with the podcast. I'm out.
I'm just saying, you were like 4-12 with the Chiefs. I mean, you got to prove to me.
Well, and this is a different Madden too, and I think, talking about passing game and all that, even with defense, not being able to user look the same. There's some aspects of the game that guys really lean on that defensively and some offensively that just aren't there. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think
we'll kind of the first week of games, once we get started and we kind of see how guys are playing week 1 and week 2, we'll kind of show us what we can expect the rest of the season. Right now it's all talk, and we're going on past experience.
Yeah, like Greg said before, like the first season of the new game is really, where you see who's like adjusting quickly to the game, and to a certain degree, I would say it kind of shows who's good at playing the game. It's kind of hard to say because like sometimes a new game doesn't really suit somebody's playstyle, so they might not be good early. Like my first thought is like Nick. Nick was always a really good user, but he always slumped year 1, and then he got better as the year progressed. And then there's other guys that come out and dominate year 1. And, I think most of the top-level users in this league are still going to be top-level users in Season 1 anyway. But it will be interesting to see how, players like in the middle of the pack, whether they come out on top early. So I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so does that wrap up your two?
That wraps it up.
Okay, so Greg, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm down with whatever.
Go for it then.
All right, guys. I've got the AFC West and the NFC North for my 2 divisions. I am not looking at just common opponents. I'm not going through game by game of their entire schedule, but I'm going to pick what I feel are important games, and I'm also going to give you an overall record for each team in the division. So I'm going to start
juicy.
in the AFC West, and we are going to start. Hang on 1 second here. With the Broncos, there we go. And that's that I know you see it.
That's Johnny Sins.
Hang on a minute here. Yes, Johnny Sins. Sorry, I'm in the. There we go. Okay. So, start with him. My important games. He won the Super Bowl the last year against Manny. Might have been a little questionable, but we know Johnny Sins is a great player. If I had to pick 2 games for him that are going to be very important, Week 6 against the Dolphins. He plays Slick, and we all know Slick's a great player. He's always in the playoffs, and he's always, he's got between 12 and 14 wins every year. So that'll be a huge game. And with the run game being not as dominant this year, Johnny was big on running Aaron Jones last year.
For sure.
And, if he can be stopped, Slick could easily win that game. But that's a huge game. Another game is against Manny, who he just beat in the Super Bowl. So that's kind of like a Super Bowl rematch.
Right.
And we all know Manny's one of the best players in the game. So
what week is that?
Yeah. That's Week 12.
Week 12.
Could have some playoff implications. I don't know. I'm going to give the overall records after I'm done going through each team's schedule.
Okay.
The next team I'm going to is the Chargers, and that is D Parks.
Istine.
Hmm?
I said it's Istine.
Istine?
Yeah. Elstein, whatever.
FC.
He hates that. Chargers rolling, he says.
Chargers rolling. Yeah, Jaguars rolling under the dumpster. I remember that. That was great. I mean, his important games. I mean, I'd like to see him be competitive this year. So, week 12 against Willie Nelson. Willie was pretty good last year. He typically makes the playoffs. I'd like to see that. I mean, that could be a big game if Parks plans on making the playoffs. You know, he could beat a quality opponent, and Willie Nelson's a quality opponent
For sure.
And then another big game is going to be against, I can't think of his name right now. I know it, but I can't think of it. The Rage guy, steroid guy.
Oh, Coach?
I cannot think of his name. Coach. God.
The Rage guy.
Week 13. Coaches
Volatile?
likes to pass the ball. Yeah, he's volatile. Parks not so much. It could be a good game.
But yeah,
and
you're
if
right.
Parks plans on making the playoffs, it's a game he's got to win. So it could be a trap game for him.
The Royd guy.
Okay. The Royd guy. He's going to give me shit for that.
Yeah, he is.
Next we have the Chiefs, and that's from our own Mikey, who couldn't make the podcast tonight. I see him as a playoff team. I also see that he has some tough games, and you know, a game that he's gonna have to win. I feel like he's gonna have to split with Johnny Sims,
Yeah, for sure.
who is it seems like the clear-cut favorite. So I think if he can split one of Johnny Sims, that's gonna be a big game. Either week 13 or week 7, either one of those. If he gets them split, that's a huge momentum shift for him. And then the other game, I think he has to avoid a trap game, week 17 against his in-law Parks. That could be crazy. I mean, and it'd always be fun. I had to make that one of the games because, I mean, it's family, right?
Right, they always talk a lot of shit. And I'm pretty sure Mikey ducked him the last opportunity they had in 20 to play. So, you know, I think Mikey's going to have to show up and make his game against Istine, because that needs to happen, needs to be streamed and probably commentated. So let's make it happen.
So we've got 3. It's family. It's week 17, so there could be big playoff implications. And Mikey ducked him. Oh,
Yeah.
that just has the makings of a great game. So
It does,
that's on
and
tap.
there could be playoff implications, but one of them might not even have a playoff shot. So it's like, you know, maybe they duck again. I mean, is it possible? I hope not.
That's true. They are in the same division, so they have another game together. But I'm looking at week 17 just for the mostly the playoff factor.
For sure.
Last team in AFC West is Joe, who wasn't with us too terribly long last year, was he?
No, he was not.
No, it wasn't. No.
There are some years where I think he's made the playoffs once or twice.
Yeah.
He's typically run of the mill. He can get between 6 and 7 wins a year. He's in a pretty tough division. I mean, Mikey's no slouch. Johnny Sims is obviously no slouch. If I had to give him some important games to win to maybe make his record pretty decent, I'd say he has to go in against the Buccaneers, who's UWG.
Who really had a
He's
good
gotta get a win
21
there.
or Madden 20 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
On the
did.
reboot.
Especially in the reboot.
Yeah.
He's got to go get a win there, and then I like the contrast of Joe and Rocky, because Rocky's really good at getting them. That's week 8. Rocky's good at getting underneath people's skin, and Joe is kind of one of those guys. He's laid back, but if you prod him, he gets pissy.
He gets heated. Yeah.
So that's a matchup to watch just because of just that contrast in styles right there, and it'd be fabulous. Oh, okay. So
I'm sorry. Manny just posted the screenshot of when Coach left on his roid rage. That's great. Oh, Lord. All right. Anyhow.
So I'm moving on to the...
That's hilarious. He was pissed.
So moving on, you said?
NFC North.
NFC
I'm
North.
going to start with the Lions.
Okay.
And the Lions is run by Wisdom, who I don't know that well, so
Mm-hmm.
forgive me for I don't know if he's that great of a player or not. But if I he's got a tough schedule.
Does
If I
he?
had to pick, yeah, he is a toughie. If I had to pick some games that I think he might be able to win, important games, I think the Texans Week 12 against Jay Stopper. And Jay Stopper came in last year, and he was pretty decent, right?
Yeah, he
He was
knows
on
how
the
to
better
play.
side of average.
I know him from another league. He's a solid user, good player, but he wasn't here very long. He got busy, so I'm anxious to see him come in and see what he's capable of. But you said that was week 12?
Yes, Week 12.
Okay, that's the Texans.
And then another game against Dario, Week 15. If he
Dar!
can come in and win that, those are two games that are winnable and could help bolster his playoff chances if he could win.
Right.
Overall, though, I don't know what to expect from him.
Oh.
I'll write down my guess as to what I think he might do, but
I was going to say real quick, did you want to give the what you thought those 4 teams from the other conference were going to finish with, or are you saving that for the very end?
that's my grand finale. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
go
tell
ahead.
you who to.
I'm making sure.
Next, I'm gonna do the Bears.
Duh, Bears.
Bears. And the Bears are run by I know you see it. Who, I think he's got good games and bad games. You were in his division last year, right?
I
What do you
was.
make of him?
He's really good. I don't know what it is about it, but he starts really slow and finishes strong because he made the wild card every year in those final 3 years. Except for, well, I guess the first 2 years he did, and then I think Sib took the other wild card. But he's a competitive player, so it'll be interesting to see how he does with the Bears.
Okay. I played him once, and I think I laid the smackdown on him. So my win-loss record was only based on when I played him. I didn't pay attention to him. So important games: Obamish, the Colts, Week 4.
Week 4.
A-Bomb is he's pretty good. He made the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think
every year.
The last year I don't think he
you're
played.
right. You're right. He didn't
But-
finish the season.
Yeah. So that'd be a big game. And if I know you see it as a playoff contender, he needs to win that game to bolster his playoff chances. And then another game, I'll go with a division game against Danny. I think they match up well. And Danny's been on the up and up every year. He seems to get better every year that he plays.
For sure.
So that's another game, Week 12 or Week 17. If there's playoff implications, Week 17 definitely. Moving from the Bears, I'm going right to who I was just talking about,
Well,
Danny. With
the Bears are saying, yeah, you got me, Greg. It was close, is what he's saying. I think.
Oh, was it close?
Yeah, he's maybe. So anyway,
Can't
moving
remember
on.
that far back. I've got Danny with the Packers. He's got a good team for his play style. He likes to sling the ball around.
But he's got no Aaron Rodgers now.
Did he just get rid of it? Oh, that's right. He was talking about that in chat. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
He might be garbage, not A-Rod. Big game for him. Bossman versus the Jaguars, or John 2051.
Right.
Win that game, bolster your playoff chances. And I think, I already mentioned with I know you see it, his other the conference game they play against each other, Week 17. Like I said, could be for playoffs. That could be two teams with a 9-6 record that are going after each other for that final playoff spot.
For
So that'll be
sure.
interesting to watch. And the last team on my list is the Vikings. And the Vikings is Booty Muncher, who hasn't actually joined the game yet.
Oh, right.
We heard
Yeah, he's out
Monday.
of town.
So
I think he said he'd get it on Monday. So
big games for him. Seahawks, Jabbar. If he can beat Jabbar beats him. But it's a big game, and they both, from my experience, they both like to pass the ball. Every time I play Booty Muncher, he likes to pass, and Jabbar is always 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, or 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So depending on
Shout
what,
out to Jabbar
depending on
running
what-
lead man in the game.
That's true, though. It's true.
depending on what
That's my
Jabbar
style.
brings to the table, he could either whip his ass or get his ass whipped. So just depends.
I love how I'm like here and just feeling the disrespect. That's great. All right, go ahead.
And then another big game for Booty Muncher is he plays the Saints Week 16, which is Manny. And if if Booty's having a down year, he's gonna have to win that game to keep his playoff chances alive.
And which week was that? What game was that?
That was week 16 against
Week
Manny.
16 against Manny. Yeah, that's gonna be rough. But Fresh was a good player in all the franchise that he played with us, so I expect him to do well.
I expect him to do well too. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the AFC West. The records that I've got here, I've got Deep Parks at 4-12.
Oof. Kicking the nuts.
I've got
wow,
Joe
did that
coming in
flip?
I've got Joe coming in at 3-13.
Whew.
The reason that both of those guys are so low is because I'm high on the other two guys. I've got Mikey at 11-5.
Wow, look at that.
And I've got Johnny Sins at 13-3.
A lot of pressure on Mikey right now. That's rough.
Well, the only reason I put him at 11-5 is because he's got a pretty easy schedule. If you go down Mikey's schedule for the most part, the majority of them are winnable games, except for, I have him losing twice to Johnny and Slick and Manny. And then I threw a fifth loss in there just because he probably will suck a game up.
Drop a game here and there.
Yeah. So, yeah, 11-5. Move on to the NFC North. I've got, I know you see it at 6-10, which I'm sure KK probably thinks he might do better than that based on what I heard.
Yeah, but you saw their schedules, so I defer.
Got him at 6-10. I've got Wisdom, who's the Lions, at 7-9. I've got Danny at 9-7. He's kind of my wild card pick. He might be able to squeeze in there, 10-6 instead of 9-7, but 9-7. And then I've got Booty at 13-3 as well. I think he runs away with the division, not close.
Yeah.
And that wraps up my two divisions.
Right on. So I definitely agree with your division leaders. I think that's going to be pretty accurate. What do y'all think?
No, I'm with them. I agree.
All right, Jabbar. So
I think it's pretty set.
Jabbar, you want to go next, or you want me to go?
I'll take a shot at it.
Okay.
So the way I did my breakdown was based on simply who they have to play on their schedule, and so the AFC North. I think if Jern is not in this division, Jules may have a shot at winning the division at any point. I mean, Rocky is a good player, and so is Ivan with the Steelers. But just to start off from the top, I have the Steelers. He has to play TBK. Of course, he's got to run into Greg, and then UKK. And then you add Jern on that schedule as well. And then A-Bomb. A-Bomb he's a really good player. I mean, connected to you guys as well. And so what I did for them was I did a low and high. So I thought the lowest he could do as far as the record would be around 6-10, and then the highest would be 10-6, because I don't think he gets past the TBK or you, Greg, or even UKK or A-Bomb or Jern. But the rest of his schedule, he's pretty even with those guys. So it's kind of very similar to what I've heard you guys say for the most part, where a lot of these games are pretty even, and then you just have specific users that just stand out as far as the competitive aspect. So 7-9 or 6-4, 6-10 at the lowest, and then 10-6 high. Jern's going to win the division. I have him winning the division, of course, the remainder of Madden, but he does have you, Slick, Greg, has everybody on here except myself to play. I think Jern could easily go 15-1, lowest 12-4.
Whew. Favorite.
He's a good player. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it comes down to, I had the 15-1 depending on Slick when you guys played, just seeing how you play with the Dolphins. And of course, I think between you, Greg, and KK, that those would be close games as well. But then, of course, everybody else on his schedule, those are going to be pretty much winnable games that I've seen. Rocky, I can't remember if he played with us this last Madden at all. I
I
don't remember.
I
I
think he
feel
got like
like
a season or two in.
yeah, I
I
think
don't think he
so.
stayed around long.
Uh-uh.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so
yeah,
I
go
do
ahead.
remember playing Rocky in the past, and I know he was a decent player. Um, I know he's been a consistent guy when he does play, but again, he has that. It's all about the users that they play. He has you on the schedule, KK and Greg, A Bomb, and TBK on the schedule. And then you add the aspect of Jern. I think
Right.
between him and this, when you think about also the Steelers is a decent player. Ivan is he can pull out games. So I had his low at 8-8, and then his high at 10-6.
All
And
right.
then for Jules, I actually think Jules has the best schedule out of all of them because outside of KK, TBK, A-Bomb, and Jern, I think she could compete with Rocky, especially having the Ravens. Um, I think Jules has always been pretty decent on defense from the times that I played her. I don't know what you guys' perspective would be in regards to her defensive side. Um,
She's interesting
but it's
defensively, and especially because she likes to use the outside corners. Like that is the
yes,
weirdest thing to encounter in this game, and she's good at it too. But
yes,
it's such
yes.
a trip seeing it.
Yeah, I've thrown several picks to Jules and not even realizing she's out there. Um, and so, but I think she has, as far as the schedule itself, a lot of the games she has this season could go back and forth. I mean, she has Civ on her schedule, and
Free dub.
everybody. Well, I mean, and the thing with Civ is, as we've said in the past, is if Sib wins a few games early, then he's all in for the season, and then if he falls off, then he's all the way out. He
Right.
just kind of gives up, and then um, and she's got Dar on the schedule. I think that's a winnable game. Coach, I think that's a winnable game. Um, I mean, or at least she can compete in those games, in my opinion. So I had her going 6-10 at the lowest, and then 9-7 the high tier.
Right. Giving her a
And
shot at the
then
wild card more than likely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, playing with Lamar Jackson, you have a shot pretty much if you just know anything about scrambling. I
Right.
mean, so the NFC South, of course, my least favorite guy, Manny, sitting with the Saints. Um, he's got a pretty decent schedule this far as his first year. With he's got the Broncos with Johnny Sims and then TBK on his schedule. Outside of that, I mean, he's pretty much going to run the table. So what I did was 14-2, and then ultimately 16-0. He's just that good of a player. He's been that good for a while in the league. And then going over to Big Ben with the Falcons, he has UWG, and then of course playing Manny and IP Man. I think he had the Titans last season. Is
He
that right?
did. Yep.
Yeah, and he's been a decent player, and so that'll be a tough game for him there. And then of course all of their schedules match up. So, but I have Falcons going 8-8 just because, or 8-8, and then 8-8 high tier, and then the lowest would be 6-10. It just comes down to consistency for Ben to me. I notice every game that I've watched him play, very similar, kind of like Jules, where that first half the game can seem semi-close, and out of nowhere they just kind of fall off. So it's just a matter of how he finishes games. And then of course the Bucks. Who's the Bucks? I just lost that one. I think that was
I'll
UW.
yeah UWG.
UWG.
Yeah, and I got the Bucks low 8-8, and then high 10-6. He's got Manny, and then the Chargers. Just adding Manny to his schedule alone is a problem. Having to play twice and then getting out of that division, and
Right.
then
That's how I do.
yeah, and then Chargers. He's a decent player. He had the Jags this last season that I recall, and he's pretty consistent on defense. Loves to run the mess out of the football, and so I give him a chance just because simple fact that he has the Bucks. Having a good team, if you're just any kind of a decent player, you can pull out some games. And so I got him high 10-6, and then low 8-8. The Panthers, I went straight 3-13, and there's
No
not
high,
much.
there's no low. There's straight.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's just how it is. You kind of have to prove what your worth is. Prove, beating a few guys, and from what I've heard and seen, that he can be competitive, and then, on the opposite side, get blown out, and so it's just a matter of how he comes out with this new Madden. But those are my predictions as far as AFC North and the NFC South.
Right on. I think it's pretty solid. Right now it is 5:30, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get that first advance in, and we'll give some extra time while we're wrapping up this podcast so people can do their training. And this will actually work out for you guys, because then you probably can do your training and stay on the podcast for a bit. So let me jump on this. What's that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so I had guys messaging me about free agency was at 5:30, so I think people have it a little mistaken.
No, it was going to be free for all at 5:30, because we've already done the draft. All the drafted free agents are saved. You can't take them, but anybody else that's not on that list you can grab, and it doesn't matter how many. So injuries are off currently. So I will go ahead and get this first advance in so everybody can start getting their training, and we'll get kickoff going here real quick. Man, I'm nervous. I'm just like, is everything set? I don't know what's happening. Force advance. All right, so now we are in week 2, so get those trainings done. And so that leaves me as the last one with the AFC East and the AFC South. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and jump on the AFC East. And so their common opponents are the AFC West and the NFC West. So I guess what I'll do is I'll jump into, the Patriots real quick. And that's our friendly neighborhood Roid Rager. Coach. Let's go here. Patriots. All right. And so, like I said, their common opponents are going to be in the AFC West. And so that means you're going to have to play Mikey, Johnny Sins, Joe, and Istine. So what I would say about Coach is he does like to throw the ball a lot. So I expect him to throw quite a few different picks. But given that he's going to be playing Mikey, I mean, I think Mikey and him wind up splitting, because Coach can play a good game when he wants, but then also, can just really drop off. So it really comes down to how Mikey plays, because Mikey can play kind of inconsistent from time to time. So I think that'll be interesting. I bet you they split. I think he gets rocked by Johnny Sins. And actually, they're not going to split. I'm sorry. They're just playing one game. I'm so used to talking about divisions. So, yeah, I think Mikey steals it from Coach, and I think the Broncos steal it from Coach. I think Joe and Coach as a matchup is going to be really interesting and exciting. I think they're both pretty even skilled, and if I had to give it to one person or the other, man, that's tough. I think the Raiders take it. I think Joe takes it because of, he's got Ruggs at wide receiver. I think that's just going to be really hard to deal with. I hear Josh Jacobs is an absolute stud.
Beast on the game.
Yeah, like even though he's like 87 speed or something like that, he falls forward every time, so he could be really good. And I just think the Patriots team overall isn't really that good. Like, they have great corners, so I think if Joe stays away from, getting stuck in a hole early and doesn't have to pass a bunch, he can definitely win this game. But I just think the Patriots don't have enough weapons to really keep up with what Joe can bring to the field. And then he's going to go in and he's going to play the Chargers, and the Chargers roster is stacked. Like, I hate to tell you, Coach, but I think you're going to in for a trouncing against the West. I think they're going to sweep you, and you're 0-4 against the West. And then you're going to have to go play the NFC West. And, going to the NFC West, you got Jabbar, Frank, JP, and Chunk. Like, just going through this on my own right here, I mean, it looks like 8 losses right there. So I think he goes in, plays Jabbar. And Jabbar, you've been talking a lot of game about how you think play calling's super important in this Madden over
Yeah.
past Maddens, whether it be offense or defense.
Yeah,
Which,
I think this Madden alone, because of how the user lurk, and I mean, I don't know if you guys notice how if somebody can get on a defensive end and if he's a superstar and basically just blow a play up, that your play calling, I think, is everything this year. I mean, of course, skills are going to matter. I mean, like you said earlier, the skills are going to be the difference for a lot of games, but I think for the guys in the middle of the pack like myself that I've been, especially when the reboot, play calling is going to be everything.
yeah, I think so too. I think, like what you're saying, with the way the user is nerfed, having a disciplined user and just not being able to cover that much, I think it's going to matter a lot more than it did in the past. You could cover up a lot of stuff. So I think, Jabbar, I think you're going to wind up taking him to the woodshed. Frank B is going to be another matchup for Coach. This will be a good one. I think this one can go either way, except for once again, I think Coach is at a deficit of talent on his team. Like the Niners team is really good. Nick Bosa's out there. He's going to be a beast. I mean, I just think there's just too much of a deficit in talent. And then you go right into the Cardinals with JP. Same thing. JP's one of the better users in the game. And Coach, I just don't think is on his level. So I think JP takes him out. And then you go to Chunk Dirty. Explosive farts or what? Whatever his name is.
Explosive squirts.
Explosive squirts.
Yeah, Chucky. Yeah, it's X-rated.
Yeah.
X-rated name.
And so I think it's hard for me to say that he beats Chunk. So sorry, Coach, it's not personal. It's just business, and that's the way this is. And just so you know, anytime you hear somebody say it's not personal, it's just business, it means some stone cold shit's coming your way. So, and then if I look at the Jets, the big tugboat, he's going to go up against Mikey. I mean, these are the same common opponents. So I'll do a quick rundown of each. Now, who was the Jets last year? What was his team? Do we remember? Big
Simba.
I have no idea.
Simba guy.
Simba guy.
Big Tugboat was he was the Raiders last year.
The Raiders last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
remember we did the commentary for when he played Mikey.
gotcha. I don't remember a lot about him, so I would say who won that game between him and Mikey? Do you remember?
Mikey came back and won in overtime, actually.
All right. So I'm gonna say this is Big Tugboat's revenge right here. He's gonna steal this one away from Mikey, and I think he's gonna run into a wood chipper with Johnny Sins at the Broncos. I think he winds up beating Joe Steck. I think he's solid enough to do that. And then playing Istine, that could be either way. I think he's at a deficit for talent there against the Chargers because they're so stacked. And Istine doesn't really play that overly aggressive. Like he'll probably be fairly conservative early, and assuming he doesn't get put in a hole, I think he can win it. But if Jets come out and start playing and put him in a hole, I think he takes it easily. So I think that'll be a great game to watch. And then we'll jump over. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. And then we go back over to the NFC West, where he's got to face Jabbar. And Jabbar, Simba guy is one of your guys, right?
Yeah.
And so when you've matched up in the past, how have you guys worked out?
Well, I don't know if this is rated RTV or not because I beat the hell out of him. So, yeah. No, he can. With the Falcons, that's been his team for as long as I can remember. Although they're missing a ton of pieces, and I mean, I'm gonna beat the hell out of him. But we'll see. We'll see.
You'll see.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna call me after this.
All right, let's see here. I just lost my one spot. I was checking main chat. Can you guys make sure there's no questions? I know we just advanced, so if you can help out there.
Trades open.
Are they not open right now? If they're still locked, then Greg, can you go in and just enable trades? Because I thought I had it set to only user, so just between humans, but maybe it's not, and just turn it to open or whatever. So where did I leave off? So that was the Jets and in the NFC West, so against Jabbar. So then he's gonna get matched up against the Niners, and I think he'll wind up probably, getting taken down by Frank B. I think Frank's got his number, just because I think his roster's better. And then he's going to lose to JP as the Cardinals, and he's probably losing to Chunk, because I think everybody has said that Chunk was good last year. So I think that remains to be seen. But Simba guy, sorry, you got to come in and prove yourself at this point. So I think this is a good season to do it for you. But you got a tough road. So then we can jump over to the Dolphins. And let's see.
That's Slick.
Is that
That's
Slick?
me.
Oh, it's Slick.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you just mute this because you don't need to hear it.
Oh man, though, I got some shit to say about Slick.
So Slick's playing the West. I'm really anxious to see the Broncos game between you and Johnny Sins. I think that'll be a good game. I think you guys matched up in last year?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
Playoffs.
Playoffs, and how did that go?
No, I played him once, and I ended up beating him that game. I think that was the only time I played him. Maybe I played him another time.
And see, I mean, aren't you starting with a pretty raw roster as well with the Dolphins?
Yeah, with the Dolphins.
Really
So-
good roster.
A really good roster, is that what you said?
Oh yeah, they are. I think I hit Slick in the message on Discord of just saying, man, I hate you got that team because they've got the defense to me, like maybe not necessarily year one, but if he keeps the majority of those pieces together and upgrade in the year two, I mean, I don't see a ton of holes besides the O-line on Miami, and so that's a set team. I think for Slick, just in the way you do trades and how you do free agency and draft anyway. So, I think that's a good team.
Interesting. I haven't looked at that team at all, so I just assumed with all the trades they made in real life that he was looking at a deficit of talent there. So I think he's going to match up against Mikey and not have a problem there. Even though Mikey's team is stacked, I bet you it winds up being kind of competitive for the first half, and then Slick finds a way to win that game because he's just one of the higher level users. So I think you beat Mikey. I think, man, I don't know what to say about the Broncos Dolphins team, especially now that Jabbar's saying your team is actually pretty good. I got to give it to my boy Johnny. I mean, I was in his division and he was solid. So he's got a good team in the Broncos. And I think he can make it happen. So I think you're going to take a loss there, and then you're going to beat Steck, and then you're going to have another battle, I think, with the Chargers. I think really good rosters are going to be tough to compete against this year. So I could see you going 2-2 in this division, but I think you go, 3-1 out of this division, and then you jump on over to the NFC West, and I think you just wax Jabbar because you come out and you you put him in a hole early. Jabbar just starts slinging the rock. He's just like, I got this down. My play calling's so good. And then Slick just punches him in the mouth. And then Jabbar doesn't know what to do after that.
Slick has not played since the last time we played the Super Bowl. It's been that long.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be an interesting game. Seahawks have a nice little roster. I think it'll be competitive, but I do give it to Slick. And, you're always in the playoffs and you're always competitive. I've never seen you go 0-8 to start the season. That's all I know.
Wow.
Yeah. See, at least you can never say that I won't say it to your face.
Yeah.
And then you're going to match up against Frank B with the Niners. This is a tough division, I think, for anybody with a weak team. I'm still, like I said, I still don't know if that team's that great. How do you feel about it, Slick?
Can I rephrase my answer to that? So the way I see it is, and I've just noticed this over the last couple of years in our league, that the really good players, when they get the opportunity to pick, say top 20,
Mm-hmm.
they typically are going to pick a team that caters to their play style. And the way Slick plays the game with that, with that defensive alone, not even speaking on your offensive style, I just think over time they're going to be they're going to be hard to deal with. I mean, they got two. If I'm not mistaken, they have two really good corners now.
Yeah.
McMillan is still there, even though he did get traded to the Raiders recently. They don't got extraordinary receivers, but they've got some level of speed at receiver too. And then of course they got the magical tight end, which I have no idea how he makes every freaking catch. What is it, Kwasicki or something like that?
Gasicki, yeah.
Yeah, like I just your style of play to me, that's like the perfect set. As far as thinking about it, we played what 6 or 7 seasons of Madden.
Yeah.
I mean, not that big of a cap situation. Can build around it. That's a perfect set in my opinion. But again, it's your team, Slick. Even though I don't like you, go ahead, speak. What do you got to say?
So Slick, how do you feel about the team?
I mean, they're a good Madden team. I obviously got to upgrade the O-line. O-line's pretty bad. But they have good skill position players. Because especially on defense, you have Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. Their safeties are whatever. They'll get me by year one. Then I have Jerome Baker and Kruger Hill, two fast linebackers. So defense will most likely carry the way. But on offense, I have two 6'3" wide receivers with at least 90 speed. So
it's a good Madden roster at least, right?
yeah, it's a good Madden roster. In real life, let's not talk about it.
How you liking that lefty Tua?
That's probably the biggest adjustment. Because I'm used to throwing with a right-handed quarterback. This Madden franchise, I'm going to be doing it with the left. So it's got not only just throwing left, but also having a right tackle instead of
Right.
a left tackle. Yeah, so it'll be an interesting. But the O-line's pretty bad.
Yeah, I would
think
sit Tua when we play.
Yeah. Year one, I'll probably struggle with the bad offensive line, but by year two, I should be fine.
Yeah, I would say, going up against the Niners, I think that could be another tough game, but I think you find a way to pull that out. I think you lose to JP, but I think, both those rosters are kind of in the same, because I looked at the Cardinals roster outside of Hopkins and Kyler Murray and, Isaiah Simmons, there's not like a ton to be excited about. I mean, they have great wide receivers, and that could be a real problem in this game. So I think, I'd give the edge to JP there. And then, once again, it's hard to say what Chunk's going to do, so that's kind of a toss-up. I think I give you the edge because you're so consistent, but, who knows? Because it's been a while since we saw Chunk. So we'll move along to the Bills, and I'll get back to schedule. Let's see here. League schedule there. Not league schedule. That's not what I wanted. But who is the Bills this year?
Willie Nelson.
Willie. My boy Willie. Okay. So Willie is going to go ahead and be playing the AFC West as well. He's going to be playing Mikey. I think Willie loses the game against Mikey. I think that Chiefs roster is going to be enough to beat him. And then he's going to lose to Johnny Sins. He's going to beat Joe. And then, Greg, what do you think? Do you think he beats the Chargers?
I have an opinion on Bills.
Do you? What do you think about the Bills?
I think outside of, playing Slick, Johnny Sims, Frank, and then I think it was Johnny that I saw. I don't know if anybody else beats him.
You don't know if anybody will beat him? Is that what you said?
I don't think any other team on that schedule, maybe Chunk, but I don't think anyone else beats him.
Gotcha.
Because I originally I thought I was looking at that division first, and I don't see. I mean, didn't he go 13-3 at one point in the reboot?
He probably did it the either second or third season. First season, he barely made the playoffs. He won by like one game, should have been two, but I mean, he had a rough go in that division early, and then I think the remainder of the 2 seasons he stepped up. So I would say that I think the Bills against the Chargers game is going to be a tough one. I think Willie can do it, but I just think I love that Chargers roster so much. I think Istine takes it from him, so he winds up going 2-2 in the West of the AFC, and then jumps to the NFC West. And gosh, do I really have to talk about Jabbar again? I just can't keep trashing him at this point, can I?
What do you like so much about the Chargers roster?
They're loaded.
Everything. Like they have
They are loaded.
3 number 1 corners on their team. Like if you look at their man coverage and their zone coverage and their speed, any one of those guys could be a number 1 corner on the majority of teams. Then they have Derwin James. They have a ton of speed at linebacker. And then offensively, they have good weapons there too. So I just think there's such a good roster. So I think, though, he's going to meet up Jabbar in the West, and I think he takes a loss there. I think Jabbar's good enough with his play calling and his passing that he's going to wind up beating Willie in that game. I think he beats Frank B of the Niners, but it's close. I think it's going to be a really close game, and then loses to JP and probably loses to Chunk as well. So I'm sure Willie's not going to be happy with my assessment of his skills, but that's going to wrap up the AFC East, and then I have the AFC South. So at that point, we got the Jags, which is, I got to pull that up. Okay, so we got Mr. Bossman. So this guy is a returning Hard Knocks owner. He played with us, I think, 3 or 4 seasons, or maybe it was 2. Maybe he came in late. I think he was recruited late in the first one. Played really well, and he's already making a bunch of moves right now. And I think he's going to be a solid competitor. So meeting him in the AFC West, he's going to have Mikey. I think Mikey beats him, but I think it's going to be another close game. I think Johnny obviously beats him because he's one of the better users in the league. But he's going to go ahead and beat Joe Steck of the Raiders, and I think he beats Istine here, just because I think from what I remember of Mr. Bossman that he was solid enough, and I think Istine's probably going to choke playing his old team. He's going to see those unis, forget who he's supposed to be throwing to, and throw to the wrong team. And then he's going to run up into the NFC West, face Jabbar. I think Jabbar, I think you steal this one away from him too. I think it's competitive, but I think you'll have his number. And then he's going to face Frank B of the Niners, and I think he takes Frank B down. And I feel like I've just been trashing on Frank B all night long. The guy's going to be heated after this podcast to come after me.
Well, Frank B, if I'm not mistaken, he missed a lot of games too, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to
I
gauge.
could be wrong.
I mean, I don't remember if he missed a bunch, but I just remember the few games that I watched and played him against, he liked to bomb it and was throwing lots of picks. So I expect that to carry over into this one. And then he's going to face JP. JP is going to knock him out, and I think Chunk knocks him out too. So I think he winds up going, 1-3 in the NFC West. Because I mean that's a tough division. I think I haven't really looked over the divisions again for a little while, but I think that's a solid division there. Then we're going to head over to, let's see, what do we got? The Texans. And we got Jay Stopper, another guy that we don't have a lot of intel on. I know him personally, so I expect him to do well, but I think he's going to have some struggles not having Hopkins anymore. But I think up against Mikey, I think Mikey takes this one away from the Texans. So I think he loses that game. He loses the game against Johnny Sins. I think he wins the game against Joe Steck of the Raiders and loses the game to the Chargers. So that's 1-3. He beats the Raiders. That's basically what I said.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Yeah. So yeah, I think he goes 1-3 against the AFC West, and then faces Jabbar. And I I think Jabbar. I think you take this one down too. Like I said, I haven't seen him play recently, so it's hard to gauge. And I think you're both quality users, so it's going to be a good game. But I think you get the edge there. I think. I think Frank B wins this game over Jay Stopper just because I like the roster better than his. And then, so obviously he loses that game, and then he loses the Cards game, and he loses the Rams game. So I think he goes 0-4. So basically, I feel like every division I've covered so far is not going to have a good season, except for a couple guys. It just feels like the divisions that their common opponents are. Oh shoot, I screwed this all up. So I wasn't paying attention to my notes. So I guess I'll have to redo this because they're playing the North. So I'll stay on the Texans. So Jay Stopper's playing the AFC North. So that is the Steelers, which is one of your guys, Ivan. So yeah, that's an interesting game because I've played Ivan quite a bit. He likes his zero blitzes. I think everybody's going to have to back off of that style now because even sending 7, you're not getting pressure anyway. So you're just asking to be roasted. So if he makes that adjustment, I think that could be a competitive game. But I would have to give the nod to Jay Stopper. He's going to face Jern, and I think Jern's going to crush him. He's going to play Rocky, and I think their play styles will be kind of similar because, I think they both like to do similar things. They should have both good users. Rocky, I think, is going to be in a major deficit, though, with not having the game yet. I think Rocky's going to have a rough go, and he's volatile. So he's the type of guy that is going to start raging early and gets frustrated and probably drops off. Not like not playing his games, but just doesn't get a lot of wins early, and so winds up having a terrible season. So I think Jay Stopper beats the Browns and then has to face the Ravens, and I think Jules I think she's gonna take that game. I mean, Lamar is such a game changer in this game that he's gonna have to figure out how to stop everything. I mean, he's got all that speed in Hollywood Brown and Lamar, and I'm sure Ingram's still a load to bring down. They still do have Ingram, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so I think Jewel wins that game. So I forget where I wound up on that one. I think, I think he goes 2-2 out of the AFC North, and then he plays the NFC North. So he's going to play, I know you see it, of the Bears. And, that's another division opponent I had, so I feel like the Bears puts the beat down on him. I do think Jay Stopper beats Ip Man of the Packers because I think Danny relied a lot on the run game, just like everybody did, and I just don't know if his reads are going to be on point enough against Jay Stopper's user. So I think he wins that game, loses to the Vikings with Booty Muncher. That Vikings roster is pretty solid, and then winds up beating Jay Wisdom. Wisdom was an interesting guy playing last year. Used a lot of odd formations, had a very interesting offensive play calling. So I think he could be tricky, but I just think that Lions roster is trash. We looked at it last podcast, and it was bad. So looks like he goes 2-2 in the North. What were you saying?
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. So I will have to jump back to the Jags. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Somebody want to handle the advance for me? I know we're running a little late for the week. What is it? Week 3.
Week 3.
Yeah, just sim to the week 3. So Jags once again. That's Mr. Bossman. So he's gonna be playing the North in the AFC. So Bossman getting double time here. He's gonna play the Steelers. I think he beats the Steelers. He's gonna lose to Jern. I don't think it's close. The Bengals are going to be really good. They're going to have a ton of speed with Ross out there. And he's going to have to stop whatever run game he decides to have. And Jern, I think, is going to be one of those players that finds a way to run in this new game. And there's definitely ways to do it. So I think he loses to the Bengals and then beats Rocky of the Browns and then has to play the Ravens. And I think that's going to be a really tough game. And I mean, I gotta say my girl Jewel is going to pull it down. I think she's got a good roster, and I think she's going to find a way to win. I think it's close, though. I think it comes down to, like, whoever has the ball last because, the Jaguars have a good roster, actually. I was pleasantly surprised by what they had I think they had speed on in LB. They had decent corners and decent pass rushers. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for they did just trade Ngakwe, so that could be interesting. Maybe I hadn't looked at his stats, but so I think he winds up going 2-2. I think is what I had there, losing to Jern, losing to Julia. So going 2-2 in the North, and then heading to the NFC North where he faces I Know You See It. I think this is a close game. I think they're both pretty solid, but I'm going to say once again it comes down to who has the ball last. I think it's the Bears. I think he finds a way to win it, even though that Bears roster is rough. It's super rough. That's going to be a tough one. I'll be anxious to see how he manages his roster. Then he's going to go into Lambeau, play the Packers, and oh man, that's a tough one. I think he beats Ip Man there, takes a win from the Packers, loses to Booty Muncher, the Vikings, and then beats the Lions. So I think once again that's like a 2-2. So should be an interesting competitive year in that division so far that I can tell. Then we jump over to the Colts, and that is A-Bomb. Colts is a young roster. Who's their quarterback?
Who, the Colts?
Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, the Colts.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. Okay. Yeah, and he just dumped roster dumped Brissett. Yeah. So going over to the North, let's see. I think A-Bomb was a solid user last year, so I expect him to follow up and be good. He's always been a good play caller and good adjuster, so I expect that to be remaining the same. I think he beats the Steelers, and then I think it's close, but I think Jern still beats him. Jern's still one of the best. He beats Rocky, and then I'm gonna give him the nod and say he finds a way to beat Jewel. Like I said, he adjusts well. And so I think he'll figure out a way to box up Lamar at least a little bit and put up points and wind up beating Jewel. So I think he is going to wind up going 3-1, and I feel pretty confident about that one. Heading over the North, I think he winds up beating the Bears. I think he'll find a way to win that game. He beats the Packers, and Fresh. I think him and Fresh could be a really tough matchup. Once again, I think it probably comes down to who has the ball last. So I'm going to give A-Bomb the nod there, say A-Bomb wins that game, and then he wins against the Lions. So I think that's a 4-0 sweep for the NFC North for A-Bomb. So you're welcome, A-Bomb. And then to round out this podcast, we got the Titans, and that is going to be Dar, everybody's fan favorite Dar. So Dar with the Titans. How do we feel about the Titans squad this year? Anybody?
I've played Dar, man, I don't know how many times. They're a decent squad this year if, you're not getting wild with the football. I think if he's able to run consistently with Derrick Henry, and, that defense, I feel like every player on that defense has a hit stick ability of some kind. And, but I don't think it's a bad roster, and I actually think they're probably a better fit for him.
Yeah, it will probably come down to whether or not he can find a way to run with Derrick Henry. He's going to be...
Yeah.
He's still a beast. He's like one of the best rated running backs in the game, and he's just going to have to find a way to use him. And if he falls forward every time, still getting 3 yards a carry, it'd still be fine. So I think he could find a way, and they don't have Mariota anymore. They have what, Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Yeah.
Tannehill.
So he's going to need a little help there, I would imagine. Do they have any good wide receivers?
Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. And they have a fast tight end, Jonnu Smith.
Okay. So he does have some tools, and you guys said defensively he's not too bad? Player-wise?
Yeah,
okay. All right, so we'll look at the AFC North that he's going to have to face. Steelers, that's going to be a great game. I'll have to watch that one. Steelers against Dar. So Ivan and him, I think, match up pretty similarly. I think the Steelers take this one away from Dar. I think Jern beats Dar. That's not really a problem. I think Dar takes Rocky to the woodshed. And then, I think Ooh, man, this is tough. I don't know how well Dar adjusts on defense. I think that's going to be key for anybody playing the Ravens. So I'm going to have to say Jewel takes that game too. And so I think he goes 1-3 in the AFC North. And Dar's going to be pissed at me for that. And then goes to the NFC North, loses to the Bears. And I think just because the Packers don't have Rodgers now, I think that's going to be a lot closer game than people think. Sorry, Dar, I see the heart. I think he does beat the Packers because they're similar in play style. Like I think they like to run. But Danny, man, he's been making strides every year, so it could be interesting. Yeah, could be really interesting. But Dar's played some really good games and played some really good competition and been close and stole games away from people. So I think he beats the Packers and then goes in and plays the Vikings, and I think he's going to take it in the shorts to Booty Muncher and then plays G Wisdom. I think it's a close game, but I think Dar gets that one. So you're looking at a 2-2 finish out of the NFC North. I'd be curious if I was running a total here to see what all these games look like, because I feel like I gave everybody losses in every division that they played.
Yeah, you were running pretty lost heavy there.
I was. I mean,
Yeah, there's nothing positive about what you said.
Maybe it's just projection. I just feel so bad about myself. I'm like, you're bad too.
Expect to lose.
That's right. Expect to lose. All right, so looks like we are pretty much wrapping up right now. And like I said, we're going to kick off here. I think we could probably advance again right now. I have
I can do that.
practice squad stealing off right now. We'll have that advanced and open on week 2. But what I would really love to see is a lot of streams for everybody. And I really want to continue doing the live stream commentary. I think that really is a big part of what gives this league some life. And so I'm saying, I would really love to see owners take it upon themselves to be like, hey, you know what? Who wants to do this with me? And not wait for, a commissioner to ask the league who wants to do it with them. Because I think the more people that do it, they realize how much fun it can be and how interesting it is. And if you're the guy that's streaming or in the game that's being streamed and you're getting to listen to them talk about the game, I mean, it adds a whole nother level for that player. So it's really an unselfish thing to do for the league, is to give your time and, just commentate for one game, here or there. And if we could get, one game an advance commentated all week or all year long, I mean, I think that would be a huge deal. So thanks to everybody who does it, and I'd love to see it done more. So anybody got anything else to add?
No, that sounds about right.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody, and let's go play some football.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Well, thanks for coming on, guys. We'll catch you later.
Looking forward to hitting to a slick.
Yes.
Oh, just kidding.